Good evening. Good evening and welcome to the College Art Association's 112th Annual Conference. I am Omogbai. I'm the Executive Director and CEO of College Art Association. On behalf of the Board of Directors, staff, and our members, thank you for being with us to kick off this exciting program. Whether you are joining us in person at the Hilton Chicago tonight or live stream, we are thrilled to have you here with us. Before we begin, I must first acknowledge that this conference is being held on the traditional lands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. Many of those tribes, such as the Miami, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, and Sac and Fox also call this area home. The people of these tribes are the rightful stewards of this land, and I'd like to pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. Though land acknowledgements have become increasingly controversial, I don't consider taking a moment to recognize the stewards of the land upon which we stand as merely performative. Instead, I feel naming these tribes is a crucial step toward overcoming injustices committed against indigenous populations by specifically combating indigenous erasure. I'll also like to acknowledge the sponsors that have made this year's in-person convening possible. Rutledge, Taylor and Francis, Blake Art Materials, University of California Press, Intellect Books and Journals, the Carl and Marilyn Thoma Foundation, the Terra Foundation for American Art, and of course, the numerous contributions of individual and institutional CAA members, conference participants, and service providers. I am happy to report that these contributions have allowed CAA to fund 100% of the registration grant applications we received for this conference. Last year, we were able to fund 100% of the support grant applications we received as well. Unfortunately, this year was not possible. We received an unprecedented number of support grants. 3 times as many applications as last year, in fact. And we could only fund 25%. I want to emphasize that every single application we received was deserving of funding. The increase in applications speaks to the challenges the field is facing. For those in the position to do so, I will urge you to please consider a donation to the CAA Member Support Fund. We refer to it internally as our Paid Forward Fund, because it helps assist all of those, 100% of it, to our colleagues that are unable to come. I hope this time next year I'll be able to say that we're able to, just as we did with registration, we're able to support 100% of the support funds. The content of the over 275 sessions, workshops, and events at this 112th annual conference reflects the motifs, diversity of art scholarship and practice, and challenges within an ever-evolving field. Each year, as we plan the conference, we evaluate lessons learned from the previous year and collect member feedback. As a result of the feedback you generously provide to us each year, as you did in 2023, we have increased the number of sessions and events, expanded hybridity in alignment with our commitment to global reach, and have included workshops in the program for the first time since 2020, and have resumed sales of day passes, which I'm happy to say has resulted in an uptick in local Chicago arts professional and student registrations. Overall, a concerted effort was made this year to engage the local Chicago community. I was delighted to learn that the annual conference committee elected a Chicago-based scholar, Dr. S. Hollis Clayson, as this year's distinguished scholar, and the Service to Artists Committee selected Chicago-based artist Ann Wilson and Chicago-based photographer Dawood Bey to be featured in this year's highly anticipated annual artist interviews. The Services to Artists Committee is also hosting an exhibition at a local gallery. Artists Replete this Thursday and Friday. I hope you avail yourself of this opportunity. Additionally, CAA collaborated with several local universities and Chicago Community College to attract more local studio art, design, and art history students to the conference, both as attendees and as conference interns. As important as expanded global reach is to CAA, it is equally important that we engage the community of any city that hosts us. Thank you to CAA committees and staff for centering Chicago during this 2024 program. And now, I am pleased to announce the recipients of the CAA 2024 Awards for Distinction. These awards, CAA honors, with this award, CAA honors the achievements of those who have made incredible contributions to the visual arts field. I know not everyone receiving awards this year is present, but for those of you who are here, please stand to be recognized when I announce your names. We will greatly appreciate it. It is important that we know and actually recognize in person the incredible work, incredible skill sets, incredible talents that reside here today. The Art Journal Award is presented to Ken Gonzalez Day. Ken, for race, whiteness, and absence in studio practice, which appeared in the fall 2023 issue. The Alfred H. Barr Jr. Award is presented to authors of an especially distinguished catalog in the history of art. This year's recipients are Oswaldo Chinchilla Mazariegos, James A. Doyle, and Joanne Pillsbury for Lives of the Gods, Divinity in Maya Art 2022. The Alfred H. Bard Jr. Award for Smaller Museums, Libraries, Collections, and Exhibitions is presented to Perrin Lathrop, Is Perrin here? Absolutely. Thank you. For the catalog, African Modernism in America from 2022. The Frank Jowett Mather Award for Art Criticism is presented to Kobina Mercer. Is she here? For the book Alan Locke and the Visual Arts published by Yale University Press in 2022. An honorable mention for this award was given to Andrea Gointer for the book The Political Body, Stories on Art, Feminism, and Emancipation in Latin America, published by the University of California Press. And translated by Jane Brody. The Charles Rufus Murray Book Award is presented to Matthew Francis Rary for Insignificant Things. Thank you. For Insignificant Things, Amulets and the Art of Survival in the Early Black Atlantic, Duke University Press, 2023. The Arthur Kingsley Porter Prize has been awarded to Daniel Zoli for the article Making Up Materials, Donatella and the Cosmetic Arts in the Art Bulletin in January of 2024. The CAA AIC Award for Distinction in Scholarship and Conservation is presented to Han Neville and Birgit Rissler, who are recognized for their contributions to the understanding and preservation of inks and pigments used in the manuscripts and drawings from the 16th to the 20th centuries. The 2024 Artist Award for Distinguished Body of Work is presented to Jeffrey Gibson. Gibson is a multimedia artist who creates vibrant, ornate works that fuse his Choctaw Cherokee heritage with a modernist visual language. This year, Gibson will be the first indigenous artist to present the U.S., to represent the U.S. at a solo exhibition in the American Pavilion of Venice Biennale. The Distinguished Artist Award for Lifetime Achievement is presented to Carrie Mae Wims and Susie Lake. I saw Susie. Susie, that's right. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Through her career, Wims' work has delved into profound contemporary issues facing African Americans, exploring themes such as racism, sexism, politics, and personal identity. In 2014, she became the first Black woman to have a retrospective which was entitled Carrie Mae Wims, 3 Decades of Photography and Video at the Guggenheim Museum in New York City. Susie Lake is a pioneering figure in the field of performance art, video arts, and photography. Among throngs of artists influenced by Susie Lake's over 50-year practice, Lake is noted for being an early influence on American artists Robert Longo and Cindy Sherman. Thank you for being here. The Distinguished Lifetime Achievement Award for Writing on Art is presented to W.J.T. Mitchell. Mitchell is renowned as the world's leading thinker in the field of word and image studies, a major founder and continuing shaper of visual cultural studies, and a profoundly influential scholar in fields such as landscape studies and media studies. The Distinguished Teaching of Art Award recognizes Maria. I saw Maria. That's right, Maria Fernandez, yes. Yes, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Purge's 25 years teaching in California College of the Arts, where she has provided a core of critical thinking and visual exploration vital to the culture of the arts college and greater art community. Thank you for being here. The Distinguished Teaching of Art History Award recognizes Monica Junija. Internationally renowned as a foremost authority in global art history and transcultural studies, Monica has left an indelible mark on the field of art history through her influential teaching and scholarship. Serving as the professor of global art history at the Heidelberg Center for Cultural Studies since 2009, Junija seamlessly integrates her evolving scholarship into her teaching. The 2024 Distinguished Feminist Awards are presented to Hilary Robinson and Kay Walkenstick. Thank you so much for being here. By establishing vital and accessible archives of feminist art and theoretical ideas with it as a scholar, editor, curator, leader, and activist, Robinson has expanded scholarship on feminist art. Walkenstick boasts a remarkable career with over 30 solo international exhibitions, featuring multimedia works that embody diverse styles, and her contributions to the art world are profound. This award recognizes her exceptional talent in expressing her deep concern for our planet and its inhabitants. The 2024 Excellence in Diversity Award is presented to Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. Founded in 1903, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum of Boston, Massachusetts, was established to promote public enjoyment and education. Today, the museum reflects a commitment to ensuring that the collections remain relevant while encouraging viewers to explore new meanings in historic artworks. Evidence of this includes the conservation team's recent inclusion of Egyptian and Persian artworks, nuanced analysis and public dissemination of Isabella Gardner's travels to the collecting activities in non-European settings, and initiatives to increase accessibility and enjoyment for visually impaired visitors. The Michael R. Buck Fellowship for Excellence in Visual Arts, awarded annually to a CAA member teaching studio art, is presented to Sarah Torgerson, an interdisciplinary artist working between ceramic fiber and found materials. Her work builds into, extends finite and fragile surfaces to emphasize and inhabit marginal spaces. Sarah is currently visiting ceramics faculty at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and works as a preparator at the Cincinnati Contemporary Art Center. Thank you, Sarah. I also want to recognize Michael R. Buck, who is here. Michael? Thank you so much for honoring the field by funding that fellowship. It's deeply appreciated. Christy Hughes and Alex Lucas were selected as R. Buck Honorable Mentions. The Professional Development Fellowship in Art History is presented to Zoe Weldon Joachim, a PhD candidate in Visual Studies at the University of California, Santa Cruz, whose areas of specialization include the art and visual culture of the United States, global contemporary art, and the theories and methods associated with eco-criticism. Jocelyn E. Marshall and Brianna Reese have received honorable mentions for the Professional Development Fellowship in Art History. The Professional Development Fellowship in Visual Arts is awarded to Kelly Tapia-Chuning. Whose work forms as a response to her family's history of assimilation, questioning power dynamics attached to representation, racial identity, and language. Tapia-Chuning utilizes research, textile deconstruction, and needle felting to convey the dichotomy of being Nepantler, born in between spaces and cultures. I empathize with that. Jessica Monet has received the honorable mention for the Professional Development Fellowship in Visual Art. Please join me in congratulating all of our 2024 awardees. And now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the President of CAA Board of Directors, Dr. Jennifer Rissler. Before becoming Board President in May 2022, Dr. Rissler served as CAA's VP for External Relations and as chair of the Committee on Women in the Arts. Dr. Rissler is Dean Emerita, formerly VP and Dean of Academic Affairs at the San Francisco Art Institute, and currently serves as an independent study dissertation director at the Institute for Doctoral Studies in Visual Arts. Jennifer?
Good evening. It's really a sincere pleasure to address you in my second and final year as president of the board of the College Art Association. Again this year, I reflect on our strength as members of CAA as we convene yet again against a cultural backdrop of divisiveness and political threats to our academic and artistic livelihoods. This week, we gather at the site of political protests during the 1968 Democratic National Convention. I view our collective participation in CAA's annual conference as a similar act of solidarity and unification against our contemporary backdrop. Not dissimilar to 1968, which proved to be a watershed year for higher education globally, as students and faculty members stood up and demanded change. Our collective intellectual work positions free speech and academic freedom above the current cultural wars and their attendant empty rhetoric. We share an ongoing belief that higher education matters, that deep critical thinking matters, that art, design, and their histories matter. This is a safe discursive space to gather and to provoke, to share our scholarship and art and design practices with one another, we, the members of CAA. While we may not prevent further institutional and departmental closures, of which I'm acutely familiar, and attacks on our disciplines by those uninformed to make such judgments, I believe our membership in CAA, and indeed our presence here this week, suggests that we still have potency and relevance. Indeed, there is power in our intellect. There is power in our convening. There is power in our voices as members of CAA. Thank you. Thank you. As board president, I will continue to manifest this energy to advocate alongside the board, the executive director, and her strategic vision. Thank you, Mei. And with you, all of our members behind us. CAA continues to lobby on behalf of our membership and the diverse fields that we represent. Much of my work as president is invisible and behind the scenes. So this evening, I thought I would share with you a few examples of the advocacy work that I've done on behalf of you. Last fall, I was invited by the American Council of Learned Societies to share my perspective on the current training, hiring, and funding of art historians, as well as urgent areas of need for the field. Many of you know that since 2017, ACLS and the Getty Foundation have partnered to administer postdoctoral fellowships, which are portable fellowships for early career scholars of art history globally. Following 6 subsequent award cycles, they paused this fellowship in order to consult with scholars, curators, artists, and other members of the cultural sector in order to better understand the evolving needs of the field to reemerge with greater impact. During my interview, I was able to share direct CAA member feedback, which highlighted the need for more recognition of diverse scholarship in the field, support at earlier points in doctoral work, as well as support for emerging scholars from alternative career trajectories. Also last fall, I participated in a hearing with the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges regarding the Los Angeles Community College District's proposal to revise the minimum qualifications for art. This important revision, I feel, will allow instructors with expertise and degrees in both film and time-based media to be eligible for employment in this district, which is the largest community college district in the country, if not the world. Thank you. Thank you. Again, I was able to reference CAA's guidelines for the MFA degree in art and design, which was adopted by CAA's board of directors in 1977 and revised in 2019 by the Committee on MFA Standards. These standards reflect the work of you, our members, and continue to be the leading articulation of MFA standards in the field. I was extremely proud to represent the work of our membership in my testimony. As these examples demonstrate, I really believe and have believed in CAA's longstanding forward advancement of its mission to promote the visual arts and their understanding through not only advocacy, but intellectual engagement and a commitment to the diversity of practices and practitioners. Central to CAA's mission is supporting the freedom of creative expression. Now more than ever, we must reaffirm our commitment to advanced art and design, its scholarship, and its teaching. Again, I remind us that we are stronger together through our CAA membership. This week's annual conference is the preeminent example of the power of our scholarship and creative contributions to the field. I thank the annual conference committee, including Dr. Lara Evans, Vice President for the annual conference and programs, and Dr. Teresa Avila, conference chair. Thank you. Their work alongside CAA's Senior Manager of Annual Conference selected the sessions and shaped the program of this year's conference. CAA's programming remains a place for intellectual, aesthetic, and professional learning and exchange, reflects the diverse interests of the membership, and provides opportunities for participation that are fair, equal, and balanced. Thank you to our Council of Readers, who served a crucial role in the review process leading up to the conference. I encourage any of you who are interested to join the Council of Readers as work on the 113th conference commences immediately following this week's convening. I am pleased to share that based on membership feedback, we have over 275 in-person sessions, workshops, and events, a segment of which have a hybrid component, and recorded sessions will be available to view until April 17th. I also thank the Services to Artists Committee and their support of CAA's goal to seek broader participation by artists and designers in the organization and the annual conference by delivering open access programming. Thank you. This year's annual artist interviews will feature Dawood Bey and Ann Wilson. The scholarly and artistic contributions of those whom we honor this week are testaments to our fields, and I congratulate all of you on your achievements. While I have thanked several committees and individuals specifically, CAA's infrastructure is built upon 12 professional committees, the annual conference committee, the publications committee, and various governance committees. I thank each and every member and acknowledge their significant contributions to CAA. And I invite you, our members, to apply for service on these committees to help us address crucial issues in the visual arts and to propose solutions that advance our goals and the profession as a whole. This is critically important work, and I thank the committee chairs and committee members for their ongoing stewardship. As my last public address, thank you. As my last public address, I want to take a moment to thank the current CAA board and ask all of you in attendance to please stand and be recognized. Thank you. One of the most important ways that we can uphold shared governance within CAA is by voting for board members. And I want to remind you, this is the best way to shape the future of our professional organization. Please cast your votes online by 5 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, tomorrow, February 15th. I have the pleasure of announcing newly elected board members at the annual business meeting on Friday. Thank you to the nominating committee for your hard work in developing this amazing slate. As we continue implementing CAA's strategic repositioning plan, I, alongside the entire board of directors, together with CAA's dedicated staff, are working to address organizational challenges for sustainability. We are doing so in full support of Executive Director and CEO Meme Omogbai and her ongoing stewardship in the face of unprecedented challenges for our constituencies. Meme, thank you. I would now like for all CAA staff members who are present to stand and be recognized for your tireless work on our behalves. Thank you all. I continue to see how resilient our members are, as evidenced by this week's diverse session offerings and content threads, which include climate crisis, social justice, and women-centered content, among others. I invite you to enjoy the conference. I look forward to meeting with many of you. I will be at the meet and greet tomorrow at 1:30 on the 4th floor in room 4D if you'd like to come and share your thoughts with me and other board members. So in closing, I want to thank you all again for your support for these last 2 years. And I also want to thank the National Endowment of the Humanities Chair, Shelly Lowe, for joining us this evening as our keynote speaker. Chair Lowe is informed by her experience as a college professor, historian, and scholar, and her indigeneity and the intersectionality of her individual worldview and the humanities in general. I thank you for your engagement with us tonight. And it is now my sincere pleasure to welcome back to the podium CAA's Executive Director and CEO, Meme Omogbai. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jennifer. We needed that reminder. It's amazing how time flies, right? Since joining CAA in 2020, when I addressed membership during Convocation, I speak to what CAA has accomplished in the preceding year. My remarks tend to be, I guess, state of the union of sorts. There are plenty of updates this year, including ongoing advocacy work, as you heard some from Jennifer, partnerships with foundations and affiliates, with the goal of maximum impact and increased funding. And I'm delighted that we have the generosity of the Getty Foundation to thank for underwriting our ongoing digital transformation. And an updated agreement with Taylor and Francis expanding open access options for our journals and increasing accessibility for scholars, especially those at institutions that don't allow them to publish in journals that do not have open access. Open access has become a pressing issue in academic publishing, and I want to thank the Art Bulletin Editor-in-Chief, Christy Anderson, and the Art Bulletin Editorial Board Chair, Hallie O'Neill, for stressing the urgency of this matter. Though we have much more work to do to expand accessibility in this way, this is undeniably a positive step for our journals. The work at CAA never stops, and though there have been plenty of bumps along the road, progress has been made toward a sustainable organization that continues to strive to redefine our role in the lives of constituents despite the increasingly precarious landscape of higher education and the visual arts. Our strategic repositioning adopted by the CAA Board of Directors in 2020 remains in progress, and given the challenges the field is facing, the need for dynamic planning and strategy has only intensified. But the roadmap is right in front of us. Membership-driven proposals for the conference each year elucidate the direction of art and scholarship by magnifying contemporary issues and raising philosophical questions. Some pertinent themes at this year's conference relate to art and global politics, the acceleration of artificial intelligence, and cultural and societal reckoning, particularly relating to several isms: colonialism, imperialism, racism, sexism, as is evident by recurring conference content keywords. The rise in content related to Blackness and indigeneity also speak to this reckoning. We continue to work to create the capacity to respond swiftly to the rapidly changing needs of our members, better advocate for them, and better advocate for the arts. At present, we are focused on gathering resources, refining advocacy processes, and reconceiving what a professional arts association that serves as an umbrella to so many other divergent needs must be in the 21st century. So this year, I feel it's necessary to take a different approach, a departure from listing CAA's challenges and accomplishments. I want to highlight the work of CAA as an organization by focusing on the work of you, our members. That's the best amplification and the best state of the union we can give. Something that many don't understand about CAA, which deserves acknowledgement, is this. CAA is simply the mechanism through which our members serve and address the issues of the field. CAA staff, though working tirelessly in service to you and to the field, we are just a conduit for the work you do. Volunteer committees, a volunteer council of readers, a volunteer board of directors, volunteer writers, volunteer peer reviewers, all folks working to help deliver a conference, produce our 4 prestigious publications, update our resource library of standards and guidelines, safeguard fair use, and advocate for arts professionals across the globe. I receive requests all the time from across the globe. There is so much struggle in the arts and higher education right now. So much struggle in the world as a whole. Whether it be the wars in Gaza and Ukraine, conflicts in Africa and Asia, aftershocks of global pandemics, or department closures, censorship, disappearance of tenure-track positions, overall erosion of academic freedom, it's easy to become paralyzed. We've been through a lot, and the struggle endures. But the work of CAA, the work of our members, the place of CAA in the ecosystem of a field and world seemingly in peril, is, at least to me, motivating, not paralyzing. I derive this motivation from exposure to so many brilliant art historians, students, artists, designers, curators, every day, as well as so many affiliated societies and institutional members who are unrelenting in their dedication to art and scholarship. A few examples of what I mean. Take Steve Rossi. Steve, I saw you in the education committee earlier today. Steve Rossi member of the Education Committee, who has been administering our popular podcast series, CAA Conversations. Steve and his colleagues on the committee have created so many valuable recordings on widely diverse topics, and now are helping train members on other committees to do the same, which will serve to expand the conversations. Or Jevi Peters, Services to Artists Committee Chair and an emerging professional in her own right, who in the spirit of giving back personally funds grants to help university students in Canada innovate and develop their creative ideas by providing access to the software tools they need for research and creation. The dynamic duo comprised of Jevi and her new co-chair and curator of the Services to Artists Committee, Imagination and Collage Exhibition, Elise Longer, has prepared one of the most exciting Services to Artists open access programs I've seen. Take our new board member, award-winning painter, Alex Bostic. I was with Alex earlier today. Yeah, there you are. I thought I saw you. Who has jumped in as a board liaison to the Services to Artists Committee, attends late-night meetings to support their conference preparations, is donating his time and expertise as an artist and educator to review emerging artist portfolios during this conference. Thank you. Aditi Saxena, another board member and dean of the College of School of Arts and Design at Washington University, is working to expand CAA's presence and impact in India. Take Monica Andrews, a PhD student at Harvard University, who as chair of the museum committee has shepherded important revisions of 7 standards and guidelines updates for museum professionals in our resources library this year alone. Or Susan Altman. I saw Susan, CAA lifetime member of 40 plus years and community college studio art professor, who applied to serve on the Student and Emerging Professionals Committee simply because she wants to mentor and support the next generation of art professionals. Take Lynn Allen, another lifetime member and VP for committees on the board, now in her final term, who for years has juggled teaching, attending artist residencies all over the world, creating work that centers the legacies of the Lakota matriarchs of her family, with indefatigable support of our staff, literally at all hours, onboarding committee chairs, helping to produce and host our Boston University 15th anniversary Feminism Plus Art Celebration in 2022. Even down to the minute details of straightening tablecloths and arranging flowers. That's Lane for you. I know I embarrassed her because she never likes to be recognized. But so Lynn, deal with it. Or Jodiah Benjamin, The new executive director of one of our affiliates, Indigo Arts Alliance, who for the second year in a row has come to the conference from Portland, Maine, to promote the work of our organization, which is committed to visual artists of color and transforming community via artist residencies and fellowships. Take Jonathan Feinberg. Jonathan, I saw you here. I saw you briefly. Take Jonathan Feinberg, a former CAA board member, who after years as an art historian is now the program director of the PhD program in creativity at University of the Arts, Philadelphia, actively reimagining the PhD degree based on the premise that creative thinking lies at the heart of innovation in all fields. Take our dedicated jury members who actively help CAA grant awards and fellowships, creating opportunities for and putting resources directly in the hands of members. Take the incredible scholars and alumni of the CAA Getty International Program, who come year after year despite all the obstacles to enrich this conference with their global perspectives. Thank you. These are just a handful of the people we encounter at CAA every single day who are doing the work. Doing the work for the organization, doing the work to elevate art and scholarship. There are so many people, so many more who deserve acknowledgement. So many stories I want to share with you. When the challenges of the field feel insurmountable, it is these people, their work, their dedication that infuses me with hope, galvanizes my belief that CAA's work does matter, and assures me that there is a place for us in the lives of our constituents in service to the field. Thank you, as CAA members. Our accomplishments as an organization are because of you. Thank you. And now I would like to welcome to the podium Dr. Lara M. Evans, CAA's Vice President for the annual conference. Dr. Evans is a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. She is art historian specializing in Native American art and curator of the Renwick Invitational, sharing honors and burdens on exhibition at the Smithsonian American Art Museum's Renwick Gallery through March 2024. Dr. Evans is currently the Vice President of Programs at First Peoples Fund, a Native arts and culture nonprofit with programming nationwide. Lara.
Osio, Dohichu. Hello, how are you? No, really, how are you? Yeah? Good. I am so pleased to be here in person and online as we gather together to engage in the important work we all do as artists, designers, culture workers, art historians, curators, educators, and many more. I thank Mimi Omogbai, our executive director, for including a land acknowledgement in our opening remarks. I will additionally acknowledge there are artists and scholars from many Native American sovereign nations participating in the conference, something that scarcely happened just 50 years ago in this 113-year-strong organization. Indeed, everyone here brings a diversity of cultural knowledge, making the field more inclusive and expanding our opportunities to work with each other, to collaborate. May everyone feel welcomed and be welcoming to one another during this conference. I'm especially honored to introduce our keynote speaker for the evening, Shelly C. Lowe, Chair of the National Endowment for the Humanities. Chair Shelly Lowe is a citizen of the Navajo Nation and grew up on the Navajo Reservation in Ganado, Arizona. She served for 7 years on the advisory body to the NEH prior to her appointment as chair in 2022. Lowe holds a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology, a Master of Arts in American Indian Studies, and completed doctoral coursework in higher education from the University of Arizona. Her career in higher education has included roles as executive director of the Harvard University Native American Program, assistant dean in the Yale College Dean's Office, and graduate education program facilitator for the American Indian Studies programs at the University of Arizona. She's also a trustee on the board of the National Museum of the American Indian. As an honoring gift as part of Indigenous protocols for welcoming dignitaries, I present our keynote speaker with a wooden feast spoon carved by a Cherokee artisan from my family. Please welcome our speaker, Shelly Lowe.
Good morning, or it's not morning, sorry. It's been a long day for me. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Yat e she Shelly Lowe yanashia bilagana nishle nanastasia tachi ni bashachi bilagana tachache do trabaja dashanale lokantiel de nasha do Washington Michigan. My name is Shelly Lowe. I am chair of the National Endowment for the Humanities. I am Navajo, and as Lara said, I grew up in Ganado, Arizona on the Navajo Reservation. Happy Valentine's Day. Yes. Or as my friend said this morning, Happy Singles Awareness Day. And I'm just so impressed with those of you who decided to come here tonight, for a conference, leave your spouses and partners at home, and, have intellectual conversations. Artists are so cool. I also just want to say, February 14th, this is a really important day for me. Like CAA 112 years, today is Arizona's birthday. Arizona also turned 112 today. And I'm like, everything's aligning today. What's going on? But also today marks the 2nd year of my tenure as chair at NEH, the first Native American and only 2nd woman to chair the agency. So I'm just so delighted. Thank you. I'm so delighted you invited me here tonight, although the staff and I were wondering, did they actually try to invite NEA chair and somebody sent the invitation to the wrong email? But I'm happy to be here with you anyway. I want to acknowledge 2 of the staff that are here with me tonight. Scott Weingard, the director of our new Office of Data and Evaluation, is here, and Jill Austin, senior program officer in our Public Programs Division. So they also were eager to be here on February 14th, and I said, thanks, then I don't have to go by myself, which they don't actually let me do anyway. So, all right, I have slides tonight. Yes, thank you guys. And I'm going to try to make sure that I get this correct. So bear with me if I mess a few things up. So last June, I got the chance to see the Robert Hooley retrospective, Red is Beautiful, at the National Museum of the American Indian in Washington, D.C. Hooley is a member of the Sandy Bay First Nation and was born in Manitoba. He is the eldest of 15 children. In the show, you can see Hooley's figurative work and bold abstractions. His pictures are colorful and bright, but not without depth. His are stories of loss, of Native children separated from their families, of lives lived apart. One of his works, titled Sandy Bay, centers on the forced removal of Native boys and girls from their loved ones who were sent to residential boarding schools operated in Canada. Hooley, who attended one of these schools, says of his art, "It is a painful experience, but you've got to do it. You've got to articulate it. The past is always going to be there. It continues to live. As we all know, there is no escaping the past. But art can be a window to look through to our past, and an invitation to keep looking and to keep asking. Art can tell the story of pain and suffering as nothing else can. It reminds us that we are here, and if we are here, there's always something to see and something to learn. For Huli, painting is a form of release. As he puts it, art gave me courage. And I think everyone in this room, whether you're an art historian or an administrator, a curator or a sculptor, you understand that power, that courage, which only art can summon. The paintings that line museum walls, the photographs in our favorite catalogs, the sculptures dotted throughout our cities, they're never just beautiful. They are stories of grace and pain, of light and sorrow, and stories of courage. And that is the power of art. It stirs something within us. It opens our eyes to the truth. Now, I see all artists as storytellers, as individuals who continually find ways to seek and share truth. In the exhibitions you curate and the books you write and the programs you organize and the works you create, you are asking questions and listening for answers, digging through mental and physical archives and sorting through memories, just like sorting through letters. That is the work of historians, and that is the humanities. At the National Book Festival in August, I sat down with the former U.S. Poet Laureate Joy Harjo, to discuss her new children's book, Remember. The book tells the story of a young girl recalling her ancestors, the stars, the moon, and in a gorgeous tale illustrated by Michaela Goad, we travel with this girl. We dream her dreams. Joy says that poems are carried in our memory and live in our hearts. They are always with you. Joy's Eagle poem is a beautiful reminder of this. It is a blessing, a call to open up ourselves to the world, to the sky, to the earth, to quiet moments, to remember that life moves like an eagle circled in blue sky. Our task, Joy writes, is to believe in the future, to believe in beauty. Now tonight, I'd like to share with you some of the work we're doing at NEH to bring that beauty to light. For years, NEH has been telling the stories of artists and the lives they lead, the worlds they create, and the ideas they share. NEH's Division of Public Programs does this every day, supporting exhibitions and documentaries and podcasts, bringing extraordinary stories to light. The NEH-funded exhibition, Traitor, Survivor, Icon, which traveled to Denver, Albuquerque, and San Antonio in 2022, centered on La Malinche, the 16th century indigenous woman who served as Hernan Cortez's translator. She was an astute young woman with a gift for language. Torn between indigenous and Spanish cultures, she became a symbol both of cultural betrayal and of strength and resilience for generations around the world. She was not Aztec, not Mayan, not Indian, historian Francis Cartoonen asserts. She is nobody's woman. Yet there is something about Malinche that moves us. Maybe it's her guarded smile or her steady gaze. Lost to us are the details of her life, what she endured, what she dreamed. But in artwork, we can see her. As Carmen Tafoya's poem La Malinche puts it, I saw our world and your world and another. In September 2022, the NEH-funded exhibition Marien began its tour in Hanover, New Hampshire. I got to see it when it came to American University last fall, then again in Charlottesville, Virginia 2 weeks ago. The show is a cultural spectacle featuring indigenous bark paintings from Northern Australia. Each work is remarkably detailed and tells a story of ancestors, of grandparents, of home. The pictures, one artist remarked, take you to another world, different from the physical world. In these bark paintings, patterns seem to spiral and float, to jump forward and recede. This is work brimming with life. In 2022, NEH awarded a public programs grant to the Baltimore Museum of Art to stage the traveling exhibition Making Her Mark, which features the work of European women artists from the 15th through the 18th centuries. The show, which travels to the Art Gallery of Ontario in late March, includes the heavy hitters like the Italian Baroque painter Artemisia Gentileschi and the Dutch artist Judith Leister, but it also includes lesser-known women, some whose names aren't remembered, but whose work is a testament to their painstaking labor, to their devotion to beauty, whatever the cost. These women artists took risks and broke barriers. They painted subjects long considered taboo and did so marvelously. As one of the show's curators put it, you can't forbid women from seeing. NEH's Division of Public Programs also supports documentaries, including the PBS series, The Bigger Picture, which tells the story behind some of the nation's most iconic photographs, such as Gordon Parks' 1942 picture, American Gothic, of a cleaning woman at the Farm Security Administration in Washington, D.C. Gordon Parks said of the photograph and his time in D.C., "I had experienced a kind of bigotry and discrimination here that I never expected to experience." He got to know his subject, Ella Watson. "At first," he says, "I asked her about her life, what it was like, and if it was so disastrous that I felt that I must photograph this woman." And that's the role of artists, of the historian, to tell beautiful and real stories. Recently, I finished a memoir by Lindsay Nixon, who is an LGBTQ writer and member of the Cree, Saulteaux, and Métis nations. Lindsay opens the book with an essay on love and how it can be buried under trauma, like the violence inflicted on Native people. The opening essay reads, "If love seems impossible for me and my Native kin, it's only because they came into our homes in the middle of the night and stole our babies from our beds. They shackled them in tiny handcuffs and sent them miles and miles away where they were put into prisons, alone, frightened, hungry, and cold." Lindsay writes that the world hardened us. A cynicism clouded the community's view. But that is not the end of the story. It never is. Lindsay comes to the realization that love is larger than her and more powerful. The essay concludes, "To love as delicately as I burn sage, to love as ceremony, to love hard, well, that's where my dominion lives." To love is a powerful act, and I think doing the work in the humanities and the arts is an act of love. It's saying this is a painful part of our history, but it is one that we will confront. Because it's only when we do this work, when we go through the archives and interview descendants and look this pain in the eyes, that we get to the truth. That too is our task today, to be truth tellers, to say this history is often complex and it is sometimes gruesome, but we can't ignore it. We need to acknowledge it. We need to keep digging. Now, NEH's Division of Research Programs supports scholars, those who keep digging, with a number of grants, including their Public Scholars Award, which funds books in the humanities intended to reach a broad readership. In 2015, Betty Talavaccia of the University of Connecticut received a Public Scholars Grant to research and write a book about Caravaggio and Michelangelo. The text tells the story of the two titans of art history and how Caravaggio borrowed from Michelangelo even as he broke away with works of ecstatic beauty. Michelangelo was a student of the poet and scholar Giovanni Boccaccio, who famously wrote, "You must read, you must preserve, you must sit up nights, you must inquire, and exert the utmost power of your mind. If one way does not lead to the desired meaning, take another. If obstacles arrive, then still another, until, if your strength holds out, you will find that clear which at first looked dark." We are drawn to artists and historians with that kind of passion, the drive that keeps you up at night, searching wildly for new answers. In 2019, NEH awarded a Public Scholars Grant to Holly Brubach for her work on a forthcoming biography about Tanaquil Leclerc, a ballerina and wife of George Balanchine. In 1956, Leclerc contracted polio while touring with the New York City Ballet in Europe. Confined to a wheelchair, she made a new life for herself, and this biography will tell her remarkable story. James Rubin, a professor of art history at State University of New York, was awarded a public programs grant in 2016 for his book on Claude Monet and the political and social climate in France at the turn of the 20th century. As Rubin writes in an upcoming issue of Humanities magazine, Georges Clemenceau, the French minister of war at the time, called Monet a man of action. He was an artist, Clemenceau said, who proposes to contribute something from the best of his life to the life of his contemporaries, and who throws himself, his heart inflamed, into a perilous adventure, undaunted by disappointments. These are stories that we tell at NEH, stories of incredible people doing incredible things. NEH's agency-wide initiative, American Tapestry, Weaving Together Past, Present, and Future, aims to tell those stories to more people in more places. American Tapestry uses the humanities to address the most pressing challenges of our time, namely strengthening our democracy, advancing equity for all, and addressing our changing climate. NEH has also launched a series of new grants aimed at those on the margins, those who wouldn't otherwise apply to NEH, and this includes our Spotlight on Humanities in Higher Education grant, a smaller award that we found is easier for organizations with limited resources to apply for. At the end of the day, we want our awards to make a difference across the country, bringing the humanities to all. I grew up on the Navajo Reservation, like I said, and in the dining room where I grew up, or when I grew up, was a Harrison B. Gay painting, and it was of a Navajo man and a woman dancing around a basket. And to me, I always looked at it thinking this is a ceremonial scene. And I must have looked at that painting every single day as a child. But nobody ever sat me down and said, this is what this painting means. But I saw it in the symbols and the teachings that I was surrounded with in Navajo culture. I knew the story it was telling me. And today I keep that in my own home, in the dining room, so that my children and my children can look at it as well, to remind ourselves the stories of the traditions that we carry with us every single day. One of the works in Robert Hooley's retrospective in Washington, D.C. is a small ink on paper. It shows a flock of birds in mid-flight, black against a brilliant white sky. In the accompanying wall text is a haiku by Gerald Visner, a writer from the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. And it reads, "Flights of starlings curve and shimmer wing to wing, sunset sway." And you can imagine the flock overhead sparkling wing to wing. And there's something so beautiful about that picture, something so hopeful, that in the midst of so much hardship, so much uncertainty, there are still starlings in flight. Now, in her poem, Life of Beauty, Joy Harjo takes this idea one step further. She tells the story of a young woman. Beauty was beaded by her mother. We learn pinned neatly to hold back her hair. But as the young woman moves throughout the world, all that is lovely escapes her. And when she forgot beauty, all was brutal. But the poem continues, and by its end we learn beauty always came to lift her up, to stand again. Life isn't always beautiful. It is easy to be brought down, to be made low, to see the worst in each other. But that's why we need art. We need art historians. We need curators and painters and sculptors. You are here today to tell our stories, to dig deeply, to see wonders, and to encompass beauty wherever you go. And that is your gift. It's a fine appreciation of beauty, the kind of beauty that anchors us, that shows us the way, that lifts us up and allows us to stand again. And in Navajo, I will say, thank you for everything that you do. May you always, always walk in beauty. Again.
Here, Shelly Lowe. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Lara, for joining us for Convocation and for your inspiring remarks. Thank you all. Before we close tonight, I'd like to let you know that CAA will begin accepting submissions for the 113th conference on March 15th. Jennifer did say that as soon as this ends, the next one starts. The deadline for submissions is April 25th. And I'm pleased to announce that next conference will take place at the New York Hilton Midtown, February 12th to the 15th, 2025. I look forward to seeing you all there again and celebrating another Valentine's Day together. Thank you again to conference sponsors Rissler, Taylor and Francis, Blake Art Materials, University of California Press, Intellect Books and Journals, the Carl and Marilyn Toma Foundation, and the Terra Foundation for American Art. Thank you all. Thank you to the various foundations who support and partner with CAA. The J. Paul Getty Trust, Getty Foundation, the Cleveland Foundation, the National Committee for the History of Art, the Mary Edwards Travel Grants, the Wyatt Foundation for American Art, Emily Hall Tremaine Foundation, the Milton and Sally Avery Arts Foundation, and the Carl and Marilyn Toma Arts Foundation. Thank you to the CAA Annual Conference Committee, Committee Chair Dr. Teresa Villa, VP for Annual Conference Lara again, thank you so very much, and the Council of Readers for curating another phenomenal conference program. Thank you. And thank you to the Hilton Chicago Conference Direct, Encore, Confex, Bright Key, and the various interns and hybrid room monitors who are already working so hard to make sure this event is a success and runs smoothly for all of our attendees. Special thanks to our social media intern, Haley Sanchez. I love thanking our interns. And Jack, I know I'm going to mess up your last name, but I'm going to try it anyway because people mess up my last name all the time. Jack Stawoziski, who, after working with us as an intern last year, has returned to manage on-site conference production this year. Jack, thank you so much. Thank you to CAA's 12 professional committees and the Publications Committee and editorial boards for your contributions all year long. Thank you. Special thanks to the Design Committee for their commitment to professional development by recommending an emerging design professional, Graham Alderton, who designed our new conference logo. I hope you like it. Thank you to CAA's Board of Directors for your continued partnership and support as we work to reposition the organization for the 21st century. Every single board member brings a unique perspective, background, skills to the table, and this helps project the organization forward. I echo what Jennifer said earlier, vote in the board election. You make this possible. And I'll be remiss if I don't specially thank Jennifer once more for her leadership of the board. Thank you, Jennifer. And thank you to our former CAA staff members who have come back this year to help us. Denali Kemper, our former development officer who worked with us last spring to write a special pivotal grant proposal that will have significant impact on the organization's sustainability. Denali, I hope you are watching this while it's streaming. Thank you. Paul Skiff, after retiring last year, as I mentioned during my convocation piece last year, from decades of service as CAA's Assistant Director of Institutional Events, has been consulting for us this entire conference cycle. We hope he will continue to stick around. I don't know what we'll do without Paul. And this is my chance to ask that you please join us for the inaugural Paul Skiff Conversations. I promised you that last year. This year you have it. A session that will be held this Saturday that Paul curated, hoping to bring different types of artistic voices to our conference. Please make it a date with Paul. I hope the audience will indulge me because this year I really do need to thank CAA staff members individually. CAA, like the field, has faced many challenges and we've continued to work with a very small staff. Thank you, Mira Freelander, Senior Manager of Annual Conference, without whom none of us would be sitting here right now. She is that one-person juggernaut. And when you see her virtually, in person, or whatever, please extend appreciation to her. She is phenomenal. Thank you to Editorial Director Eugenia Bell. It gets better. Who from the staff side runs 4 publications and has had a transformative effect on that department. Eugenia, on behalf of all of us in the field, thank you. And she does this along with editorial assistant Annalene De Leon, who administers CAA reviews. And thank you to Carly Buckley, our Manager of Grants and Awards, and Director of our groundbreaking Envy of the Entire Universe, an incredible CAA Get International program. Thank you, Carly. Thank you to Abdul Mohammed, our dedicated manager of finance and administrative services. Our thanks to our webmaster, Alison Walters, for ongoing work to refine the CAA website. And finally, thank you to my senior leadership team. I will welcome here for the first time CAA's new Director of Finance and Administration, Prakesh Kulori. Our new Director of Development, Caroline Cleaves. Thank you to our CAA's Director of Technology, Scott Gerhardt. And thank you to CAA's indefatigable Director of Strategic Planning, Diversity and Governance, Chief of Staff, and absolutely everything that you can imagine you want in an ever-ready, wasn't it that ever-ready battery that never stops? The Energizer Bunny? I don't think they show that commercial anymore. That is Megan Donahue. Please may the staff, whoever is here, stand. I know they are busy running around making sure everything works, but please indulge me and stand for a second. It's important for you to literally see them. The contributions of each member of this 10% staff have been invaluable to this organization. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And thank you all to conference participants and attendees, both remote and in person. And join us for our other key events that will be live streamed. The aforementioned CAA Scholarship, Distinguished Scholar Session, CAA Alumni Artist Interviews. Check the conference app or the CAA website for details. Above all, thank you to affiliated societies, institutional and individual members for your contributions to CAA and your service to the visual arts field as a whole. I hope you have a wonderful conference and a fabulous Valentine's Day. Enjoy the conference. Thank you.